Hi, everyone. Hope you're having a good week and wanted to talk to you a little bit today about the Sabbath day. We read in Luke 14, confrontation Jesus had with some of the religious leaders, the Pharisees, and the experts in the law over the Sabbath day. And just kind of struck me that this is a repeated occurrence. The religious leaders seem to have a big problem with how Jesus treats and lives on the Sabbath day. And for good reason. The Sabbath day was an important day and is for the Jewish people. We just finished reading through the Torah, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. And many times throughout those five books, we heard a command from God to keep and honor the Sabbath day because it was holy to the Lord. It was a big deal. And so when Jesus comes along doing what Jesus does, there are some who wonder if Jesus isn't trying to abolish the Sabbath day. And there are some who might hope today that that's what he's done, right? As 21st century Americans, we're often not very good at keeping the Sabbath day. We are busy people. We're always on the go. We're always working. We don't know how to rest. And so the Pharisees thought that Jesus was abolishing the Sabbath day, and we might be hoping that he was, because we're not the best at keeping it. But Jesus didn't come to do that, right? He wasn't trying to overthrow the Sabbath day. He was trying to show how to truly live in it. He was giving us the best and clearest and most beautiful expression of keeping that ancient command to keep and honor the Sabbath day. Jesus was showing us that the Sabbath day was never meant to be a burden or simply a box to check, but that it was a gift from God. And that by keeping the Sabbath day, not only were you being given rest and being shaped and formed as a disciple of God, but it was also a way of expressing the faith that was inside of you. It might be tempting to think today that we don't need to keep the Sabbath day. After all, Jesus came, and we don't need to keep any rules and laws. We're saved by grace after all. And after all, we might tell ourselves Sabbath rest, true rest, isn't found in a day. It's found in a person, right? And that's true. No amount of resting, whether you rest for a day every week or rest for the rest of your life, no amount of rest can give us the kind of rest and wholeness and peace, the shalom that we have in Christ. But we have an embodied faith, right? We have faith that resides in our hearts, but it's meant to be lived out into our hands. And often the work that we do with our hands ends up shaping our hearts. There's a connection between the way that we live and the faith that we have inside of us. And so if we believe that Jesus is our true rest, and I hope that you do, that ought to influence the way that we live, right? It's hard to say, yes, to Jesus is my rest. I trust wholly in him, and then go about living in such a way in which you're driving yourself ragged and tired because you never actually stop to rest in Jesus. But if you rest in Jesus, right, it only makes sense that you would hear that command to keep a Sabbath day and then devote a day to doing just that. And when you do, it's a beautiful way to express that faith. To say, yes, Jesus, I do trust in you. I do rest in you. And I'm going to stop working for a whole day. I'm going to worship. I'm going to pray. I'm going to play as a way of showing myself and you that I find my rest in you. Keeping a Sabbath day for us today is also a way to shape our hearts, right? Maybe our hearts aren't there yet. We're having a hard time with this, but by stopping work, right, we're telling ourselves that this is important and that I can rest in Jesus. I think it's great that we traditionally, historically, as the Christian Church, have made Sunday our Sabbath day, the Resurrection Day. It's only fitting for that. But it's also kind of cool because it's the first day of our week on most of our calendars, right? Sunday. And so we are beginning our week, in a sense, when we keep the Sabbath day on Sunday. We're beginning our week by doing nothing, right? We're entering into this new era by saying, look, Lord, before I ever do a single thing, I'm just going to have to trust that you're working even when I'm not. And I'm going to begin my work by resting, but knowing, believing, and finding some hope in the fact that you never stop working for me and for my family and for my community. Again, keeping a Sabbath day is a means of expressing the faith inside of you and forming that faith inside of you. Jesus didn't come to abolish the Sabbath day. He came to show us what true rest looks like eternally and for us now. Well, I hope you have a good week and hope that you find some time to rest. God bless you.